slides.
Yep, we can see.
Cool. Okay, so I think most of you guys know me, but if you don't, my name is Emily Pleinis, formerly Emily Sear. Got married, so I changed my last name and all that good stuff. So a little bit about me. So I graduated in May with my bachelor's and master's in computer science. In June, I got married. And then also in June, I moved out here to San Francisco and I now work for Major League Baseball. So it's fun. So a big question I've gotten asked a lot is how did I end up here? Because if you talked to me at all last year, it was definitely not my plan to move to California or to even have a hybrid position. So kind of what happened was I was applying to jobs in October. I started applying in October of 2022. So that was the fall semester of my senior year. I was really applying to everything and anything, mainly just remote positions, because that's what I wanted at the specific time. I saw an application for Major League Baseball and I was like, wouldn't this be funny? Like, this isn't gonna happen, but like that would be funny. And now I'm here. So I got invited for an initial interview in December of 2022. So like I kind of forgot that I applied for Major League Baseball at that point. Like it was so long after and I was really shocked. So I had an initial interview in early January, I believe. And then they decided to move me on. And so I had tech interviews from January 26th to February 1st. So I had a total of 5 tech interviews, each being an hour long with different people across our team. So it was pretty intense week for me, very difficult tech-wise, but mainly because I'm a full stack developer is why they had so many. So I had a Java tech interview, a front end, we use React. So I had a React interview, I had a SQL, and then just like normal, I had database one, and then like soft skills and stuff like that. So lots of interviews, but it was pretty cool. And then my last interview was with our vice presidents. So the one who runs our team and then his boss as well. I had an interview with them, which was basically just them asking what I want to work in and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. Got my job offer February 9th. And then I started an internship with them February 27th. They allowed me to do that while I was still in Wisconsin, which was kind of crazy because I was working mainly Pacific hours, but it worked out well, got to know my team before I moved here. And like I said, May and June, I was graduating, getting married, moving, all that good stuff. And then, so I started here full time in June. So I've been here pretty much all season. So I've gotten seeing a lot of really cool stuff. It's kind of what I do. First of all, that picture that's actually of our team, and you can see me right there. That was in the SF Chronicle, so that was cool when they came by and interviewed, not us, but like our bosses, but they took a picture of us, so that's fun. So like I said, I'm a full stack developer, so I do database, backend, and front end. I really do the full stack. My tickets include like adding new columns to databases, and then I go all the way up through our APIs. So I add it to whatever the APIs that we need, and then add it to our front end stuff. I have some stuff to show you guys because it's cool. But I have to say I don't work on all of this, but we work on a lot of stuff that feeds this stuff. So kind of to describe baseball data is think of anything you would need to run a baseball game. That is what my team works on. So we work on, let's say, like every information about the players, the umpires, the coaches, and then like if you go into like the tracking stuff, so everything if you've heard stuff with Hawkeye, so player position, stuff like that. If you look into AAA, my team does the automatic ball strikes, so we're the ones in charge of doing, if you call them like the robo umps or whatever. So my team does that too. We work on StatCast, which is what I mainly focus on, which is all the stats for a player, for a team, for literally everything. There's a stat for whatever you want, basically. So yeah, we work on a lot of stuff. It's pretty big range of stuff, but I guess one thing to show you guys, is one of the APIs I work on. It's called Stats API. It's our main one. So this is an example of something I see every day. So this is the schedule for today. And actually this is some stuff I worked on. So obviously the schedule here, I don't know, just normal schedule stuff. This is public. You guys can like put in this URL and see on your screen if you want to. But something I worked on was I added, where is it? Here. I added this broadcast array. So it shows us what broadcast is showing the World Series game tonight. So boxes, good stuff. So yeah, that's something that I've worked on. It's public facing, which is really cool because then like when my dad asks me what I do for work, I can actually show him and not just like attempt to describe it. So that's that. Something a little more cool and a little more user friendly that I work on is we get all the data that runs for Baseball Savient. If you haven't heard of that, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of data you can put here. One thing I did work on was we call it home run in X ballparks, but they call it home run in so many ballparks. So it's if this home run was hit, how many ballparks was it hit in? And so this is something you can sort by, so you can see, you know, these guys who hit home runs, they are like for sure, like they're gonna be out in most ballparks. So that was a cool thing I worked on right at the beginning of the summer. So I think like right when they first started full time. So that was pretty cool. What else do I have? Like I said, StatCast, that's where all of our stats go into. So if you just go to like mlb.com/StatCast, you can see all of fun stuff. If you've ever watched a baseball game, they actually use it quite a bit on there. They're like, oh, look at this StatCast data. So you can see that quite a bit. One cool thing that my team is starting to work on is data visualization. So you can see here, this was a homer the other day in Saturday, in Saturday's World Series game. So you can see he hit it, and then it'll show here in a second. About 10 seconds, it will show the tracking version of it, so you can see the arc and stuff like that, and all the stats that go around it. So a big thing for us that we have to remember is that baseball happens in real time, and we have to make sure all of our data, apps, everything is like happening in real time. So a lot of our considerations for our APIs or tracking stuff is how fast we can get the data. So there's a lot of stuff with making sure you're not doing too many loops because, you know, that adds time complexity and all that good stuff. But yeah, cool things you can know basically anything you want about a ball within seconds of hitting the baseball. So there's also something called Game Day 3D where you can watch the game through like the tracking, which is really cool. So we support both new and legacy systems. So baseball has been around for a really long time. So we support pretty relatively old systems, and we also have to test for a lot of different things. So for example, in our database, we have players from 1884 because that's when baseball started. So we have to have a lot of information, and just like you kind of have to test across the field because of, say, before tracking, before they even like, sometimes we don't have box scores, all that good stuff. And day to day, I work on about 11 different apps. So versus like front end, back end, database, there's about 11 different things I can be touching per day. Usually per day, I try to stick to about one or two just for my own brain, but there's days where I'm switching between a bunch. Another thing, I'm kind of known for dealing with really hard bugs. I don't know why I started doing this, but for some reason, I started taking on the bugs that nobody wanted to work on, which made my coworkers like me a lot, just because nobody else wants to do it. But hey, if you do that, they will like you very much, which is kind of unfortunate at this point, because every time there's like a really bad bug, they're like, hey, Emily. I'm like, appreciate to get a break, but you know, it is what it is. So my typical day, this is my day when I'm in the office. So I'm hybrid. So I do 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. I guess the first one is kind of blatant. I do spend an hour and a half on days that I go into the office commuting, which seems like a lot Wisconsin wise. California wise, it's not a lot. And that's like both ways, but also I take a train. So I literally walk 5 minutes to the train, sit down, read for 45 minutes, get up, walk 5 minutes to work. So it's a lot easier than what people think it is. It's just the fact that you got to deal with people on a train and all that good stuff, but it's entertainment. I usually spend about 2 hours a day in meetings. Some days are more, some days are less. That's kind of what it averages out to. I usually do about 2 hours in active development, meaning just like adding new stuff, whatever the new feature is. Usually spend about 2 hours a day debugging, whether it's something I broke or something that's broken in production. We get people look at our stuff. It's public facing, so we get tickets a lot. Lately, not really, just because of we are in a code freeze for the entire postseason, but still happens. Usually spend about an hour either doing code reviews or helping coworkers. You saw what our office looked like, so it's pretty open. We collaborate all the time. We like just turn around in our seats or whatever. It works out really well for us. So it just happens. And I spend about an hour of my day testing, whether that is writing like unit tests or integration tests, which are automated tests. You tell the test what is good, and then the test tells you if it fails or not with your code. Or just manual testing through a QA environment. So I guess the next part is how has it been like to transition from college to a full-time developer? Guess the first thing, also that was a view from one of the dinners my husband and I went to. It was really pretty. Anyways, I'm still learning a ton. I feel like every day, I still learn things and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So a lot of it, I don't even know where to start, where everything that I'm learning happens, but it's a little unfortunate because you're like, oh, I'm done with school. And then like you basically don't know as much as you like actually think you do. But you do know a lot, not to put your spirits down. But I promise you're gonna learn a lot. Every tech company, whether you work in tech or if you're working for a different type of company, they all have their own tech stack, and learning the specific type of code that you're writing, learning just the styles, like your systems. Like you saw how many systems that I work on per day. It's a little hard knowing what does what. So that's that. When I wasn't busy, when I first got hired, I took a lot of courses. We get like a free like course, whatever. It's like, I don't know what course things. I don't know, those weird like course things you get like ads for on YouTube when they're like, oh, buy this free, whatever. Like Skillshare or something like that. So it took a lot of those. It helped a lot with testing, unit testing, because we didn't really learn that in college, stuff like that. Another thing I've learned is I have a lot more free time. I remember in school, I was either like working or doing work for school or in class, like basically all day, like 12 hours a day. But now I work my 8 to 9 hours a day, get home, and I really don't have to do much. That being said, work-life balance is hard. Baseball is something we have to support off hours during. So there's been times where I have had to like jump on after I've gotten home and work through problems. Or for us, you know, you usually for any company, you try to push to production during like not peak hours. For us, we have to wait until after games. So during the regular season, that can be at like 11 p.m. or later. So that kind of sucks. It's not the greatest part of the job, but it works for us. We figure it out. Thankful that I don't work in the New York office, because then they have to do like prod pushes at like 1 a.m. and I would not appreciate that, but it works. It's something you gotta, it's a give and take, but that's what that is. Also, I would say debugging is a great way to learn. Like I said before, your coworkers will thank you, but if you've ever done like one of those Lippmann problems that you feel like is impossible, it's a really great way to actually learn what you're going to be doing in the real world. Because half the time when you're starting out, basically everything seems impossible and nothing seems like it should work, but it somehow does. So I've learned that is, like I said, taking on those like tough problems, it like helped me learn some systems inside and out, and now like people ask me questions. So, and that's that. I guess lastly, some just final general advice. This is all over the place, but one is start applying early for jobs. Don't wait until whatever. Don't wait. Just apply early. You will be rejected a lot. I probably got rejected from at least 50 companies. It's, you kind of just got to get used to it and move on with your life. I don't know what else to tell you there. It sucks. And a lot of companies, they'll either like email you right away and you're like, wow, I didn't check a box, or they'll email you like 3 days later. It happens to the best of us. Also apply for stretch jobs. Like I said, wasn't anticipating getting this job. Do it. You might get it. Also be warned, you might get it. So it can happen. Another advice, do an internship. I think they're required now, but still do it. And also find one that you can learn at. I guess just some general advice is like interviews are not just for the company searching out you, it's also for you and the company. So do interviews. I highly recommend them. Find places, ask them like how you can learn at the company, what they do for onboarding. It'll just make your life easier and also help you know what to expect. This next one, actually do all the hours for your senior project. I understand, I know it's a lot of hours. However, that was the number one thing my interviewers talked about during my interviews. So almost all of them, I talked to them about my senior project. Actually, at the database one, we talked about like the database I made and why I was using a non-relational database versus a relational database and like how those work together. So if you do all your hours and you know like your senior project in and out, you can bring it up at interviews and really answer some good questions. Learn basic command line. I forget if Lippmann makes you guys do this anymore, but just learn it. I promise you'll make your life easier. It kind of sucks on Windows if you have a Windows machine, but everyone uses it still. Like yeah, that's it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. One of the greatest praises I guess I've gotten, and this has been at like my internships as well, is like I ask questions and I'm pretty direct with my questions. So everyone's very thankful for that. They're like, if you're stuck on a problem, ask the questions for it. The hard thing is learning when to ask, like when to stop asking questions. So figuring out that limit of, okay, I can struggle for this long, and then I need to ask a question, I need to get help. That was a really hard line to learn, but I would always bear on the side of asking too many questions than not asking questions at all. I promise you, most of the time your coworkers will want to help you, and it will just make you a better developer. So they will appreciate it. Oh yeah, prep for your tech interviews. It's basically Lippmann homework. So I would say start easy, work towards harder problems. There's a bunch of websites you can use. But yeah, tech interviews are hard. They sucked, to put it bluntly. So I would just recommend if you think you're having a tech interview, if like a company you apply for is like, yep, we have tech interviews, just prep for them. No matter like, if they're like, oh yeah, you don't need to prep for it, just try to. I promise you won't get exactly there, but you'll at least get like an idea of some questions they may ask. Oh, this one I find interesting. Learn about benefits for jobs. So learn about what is important to you besides just your salary. For a big one for me is healthcare insurance. We get the same insurance as the players do, so it's pretty good. So yeah, that was a huge thing for me. Yeah, just learn about benefits. Nobody really talks about that in college, which kind of sucks, But yeah, if ask questions about benefits, if your interviews, if people that are interviewing you don't know, ask the HR people, they'll probably give you a rundown. But actually listen, there's things that actually help out there. Find some hobbies and things that help you relax. I really recommend this. I know you don't have time at college, it happens, but finding something that you can do that either help you relax or just like helps you solve a problem helps a lot. There's two things I do. I crochet and knit, and then I also work out. Workout is for coding problems that make no sense. Most of the times during my senior project, anytime I couldn't solve a problem, I would stop, go work out, and then solve the problem afterwards. It just is how my brain worked. So yeah, I just recommend finding some hobbies. It will help a lot when you have that free time when you work full time. So just recommend it if you don't have any already. This is just a general one, probably won't be for the audience here, but if you ever need to change your name, just do it before you start working at a company. It is a pain in the ass, let me tell you. But yeah, that's kind of not important. But yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Emma. That was really good. If anyone has questions, you can just open it up to that. I can start us off. I have one. When you were in all those tech interviews, was there like any particular questions that really threw you off guard, or like that you felt you were like completely unprepared for, or wished you had prepared more for?
Yeah, so the Java one, there was our tech stack was in Java, and the Java one was really hard for me because it was sorting list, but by a specific thing. So they gave us like a list of like players or something. I had to sort it by like their birth date, and then I forget, it was something else. It was like their birthday and then like what team they played for. And that just threw me for a whole loop. I had no idea what was going on, completely bombed it. But yeah, it was something that was really tough for me, but just something I did a lot while doing those. I don't know if they liked it or not, but yeah. I just talked through what I was thinking during those interviews. So I just left my mic unmuted and I was like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I think I'm gonna do like X, Y, and Z. And so at least they could tell that I was trying to solve a problem, whether or not I did it correctly.
Zach has a question in the chat.
Um, because one, because umpires are humans. Two, because we're testing the system in AAA. That's what I got for you on the automatic ball strike. If you ever want to look at fun tech stuff that the MLB is trying out, look in AAA. It will likely be there. So if you're ever like, I wonder what the new thing is, look at AAA. It'll be there.
Are those like extremely accurate from what you've seen of them? The robo umps?
Yeah. So they're a little too accurate.
Okay.
So like if any part of the ball touches the strike zone, it's a strike. So as you can see, probably batters are pretty not the happiest with it, but it's something my team has to work on is like how accurate do you want it to be? Like technically if a ump calls it a ball and it's on the edge of the strike zone, like it could be either way. So it's something my team is working on this off season is figuring out where things should be with that.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question?
So, hi, in sport industry, do they prefer any cloud services, or they prefer to have their own databases?
Sorry, give me a second. I accidentally ate a piece of ice. So we have cloud services, but like they run our databases. So MLB is pretty like open about it. We use Google Cloud. You can see that anywhere you see StatCast. So I'm pretty sure most companies nowadays do host everything on the cloud. It's just easier, makes life easier. Also, you don't have to deal with physical servers. So that's what we do.
Good, thanks.
Did you find it difficult transitioning to full stack after college? Was there like one part of it
Um,
that was really hard to get used to?
Yeah, so I did an internship that was all front end. So if I didn't have that, it would have been much tougher because we don't really have a front end class at CETA. So that was pretty tough. And then just like I'm technically on the database team, even though I do full stack. I kind of had database crash course when I first started as well, because that's again kind of like a whole, like we do learn it, but like you don't learn it as much as like doing it. So if you ever have some free time, want to do it, I recommend doing full stack or doing it for your like senior project. Just trying something full stack, seeing what you absolutely hate, seeing what you like. While I was doing it, I ended up really liking the full stack, so it works for me.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you so much, Emily. Really appreciate
No
you taking
problem.
the time for this.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Slack. I may or may not answer right away. We'll see. It's on my phone, so sometimes I just ignore it until I get home.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
No
Thanks for
problem.
coming, guys.
You guys have a good night.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Ross. Thank
Yeah,
you,
you
Emily.
too.